Hey George, welcome to the 2019 OEC golf event. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you here in your address position, let's take a look at your posture. We can see here that your spine is straight, not a slight tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and the club works out to the ball. So achieving some really nice posture there in association with some very good balance. Next thing we want to observe has to do with your alignment. We can see your feet running in this direction. If we carry that out towards the fairway. Theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet, and parallel lines on camera would have an appearance of converging. And with that scenario, we can see you're pretty much set up right down the center of the fairway, so that's terrific. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Jordan Spieth. We've got some color-coded lines on the screen just to use as a reference point as it pertains to swing plane. As we initiate the takeaway, simply want to rotate our shoulders, draw our arms and hands back as well as the club. And we want to watch the club come back directly along the red line, which means the club is swinging back on a proper swing plane. Right about here, what we're going to want to see now is some good wrist hinge into play where we're transitioning the club head from below to above our hands, and then we want to work the club from red up to yellow or blue. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, and the left arm of the club can be situated on the yellow line, in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically get up onto the blue line as we see here with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation, and we want to do this about a very stable right leg. As you watch you initiate your takeaway, your hands come back very nice with your rotation. The club's on perfect swing plane. As we continue to turn, we want to get some wrist hinge into play, which you do. And when we finally get the golf club at the top of the backswing, we can see that you turn your left hand sort of around the golf club a little bit, which shuts the club face. Club shaft steepens out a little bit. Shoulder rotation's good. Stable right side. You create your rotational movement upon the posture axis, which is good. But we could improve the set position with the arms, getting the left arm a little closer to the yellow line, and definitely learning how to use our wrists a little bit better so we're not turning that golf club around with that wrist. At this point in time, as we create our transition back in the ball, simply want to move our weight from our right foot to the left, fire our knees and our hips to the target, unwind our core and fire our hands, and in doing so we want to bring that golf club from the blue-yellow V zone and get it to return back to red, which is where it originated. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club has returned right back onto plane. The other thing we want to observe at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. Simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind our hands coming into the hitting zone, which is going to allow us to create a lot of power in the golf swing, let alone also being able to hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club has returned back to plane, as we already noted. As we create your transition back into the ball, you do a good job here. Hands come a little over the top, so you're pushing your hands and arms a little too far out in front of you. That's going to have an influence on the club. At this point in time, we can take a look at the relationship between your lead forearm and your golf club, and basically we've got your backwards check mark, so creating some power in the golf swing won't be an issue. The only problem is the golf club hasn't fully returned onto plane. So you are coming a little bit steep into the ball due to that over-the-top move. And if we go ahead and just track the club head, we can see here that you fight to keep the club head behind you in the next frame, but the club stays on top. So as it's coming into the ball, it's going to be approaching the ball a little bit from what we refer to as outside to inside. So we can see the golf club never returned back to plane as it has with Jordan Spieth, and how he comes into the ball directly from this red line, which again, as I've already stated, is what allows us to hit the ball straight in accordance to our alignment. Lastly, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. Okay, so at this point in time, we can take a look at the pass of the club. We can see with Jordan Spieth here, the club is inside the ball. It expands out to make contact and moves through on a nice, natural, subtle arc. Your club is outside the ball, dropping, not sure if that made a dot, dropping down and across, and we can see how that golf club is moving just a little bit from outside to inside. So if we square the club face up to this path, everything's going to turn out pretty good, and you're going to hit the ball sort of in that direction of where you're aiming and where you're swinging. Okay? If you leave that club face a little bit open to that path, then maybe you'll block the ball a little bit to the right, and the ball will have a little left or right spin, and the ball will fade and or slice depending how open the club face remained. If the club face closes down a little bit aggressively, then the ball may take off a little bit more left because again that's where you're swinging, and then it'll have a little bit of right to left spin, and you'll hit some form of a draw or even potentially a hook. Okay, in this particular swing, it looked like the club face remained open to the out to in path. The ball's being blocked out to the right, and obviously if we're swinging the club along that red path and the ball is starting out in this direction, then obviously the club face is pretty open. So therefore, when the ball gets out in the air, it is going to have right to left, left to right spin, sorry, and you're going to lose the ball a little bit further in that direction. Also, halfway through, we can see that your right heel is still fixed to the ground. Look at Jordan Spieth, how his right heel's off the ground through impact here, and then just watch the continued activity of this right foot where the right heel gets fully up off the ground onto the toe of the right foot. That allows his weight to get to his left side, his hips to square up, his shoulders to fully rotate, and his hands finish high with the club back in behind him. So that's something you want to pay attention to through to your finish, just learning how to create proper footwork whereby we're bringing the heel up off the ground, getting up on the toe of the right foot. That'll help you displace your weight on your left side, create a little bit more energy and efficiency through the golf ball, and also potentially take a little bit of pressure off your lower back, because you've got all this energy firing through swinging to the target, but you're keeping that foot fixed to the ground. So something's got to take the brunt of that whiplash, and it's going to be your lower back. Okay, so just want to learn how to create that footwork would be ideal. Overall, we see some nice athleticism here from you. Your hands work well. They come back, they fire through. You coil back, you uncoil through. Your upper body wants to get to a finish. It could get to a better finishing position if you create better footwork. And then ideally from here, just maybe learning how to create better wrist hinge coming back so that keep the club face in a little bit better position at the top of your backswing. And then ultimately really trying to learn how to get away from this over-the-top move, because when we create that over-the-top move, we fight to keep the club head behind our hands, and we lose the battle, and the club gets stuck outside and it swings from out to in. And at that point in time, you got to play around with the club face to sort of compensate, and that's where inconsistencies are gonna come into play. Okay, and then obviously lastly, getting that right heel up off the ground. Anyways, hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video, and look forward to seeing you again next year.